For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is a special edition. We are live on The Scribble tonight. It is Friday, December 30th. And news has just broken a few hours ago that legendary TV news anchor and The View creator Barbara Walters has died at the age of 93. Now, I'm not here to report on this as a breaking news story, but as an entertainment reporter myself and a podcast host, and the podcast comes out on Fridays, we've pulled back. We dropped the original podcast episode that was that went live today, and we've swapped it up because this really is a huge news story. Now, as a journalist myself, and I took journalism in school, I have to share my thoughts. And a little bit later in the show, about 5 minutes time, we're going to look back at the celebrity tweets, because for the past hour, the past 2-3 hours now, Barbara Walters, or the hashtag Barbara Walters, RIP Barbara Walters, has been trending. And so we've got quotes from Oprah, Dan Rather, former View co-hosts, just everybody's chiming in. So we're going to get to those in just a moment. But let me tell you, because as a journalist, when I was going through school, we watched tapes, and that's how long ago I was in school, 20 years now, that we would look at clips of news anchors. So you've got your Peter Jennings, your Barbara Walters, your because it was in Canada, we had our Peter Mansbridge, our Lloyd Robertson. Excuse me. We were watching these clips and learning from them, and we'd see an interview, and we were then taught how politicians dodge questions or dodge answers by dancing around something. And so then it would be like, okay, now watch how Barbara circles back and gets him to say this, or how she gets an answer out of him. And same, ditto for all these other anchors I just named. And it was kind of fascinating, because not that I was mimicking or mirroring how Barbara would do an interview, but certainly you kind of pick up little cues here and there, right? Oprah kind of said, well, I pretended to be Barbara Walters, and that's where I got my style from. And then you come out, you develop your own as you grow and you do a little bit longer. Now, again, me being a white guy, I don't have the same experience as women do, right? Because that's what you're going to hear because I've been reading the tweets and everything. They're adding them still literally now as I'm talking to you. But you're seeing the word trailblazer, icon, glass ceiling, all these different terms that describe her. Almost every one of them uses the word trailblazer. And I mean, that's just the most apt word to describe her, especially from women in journalism. Barbara was the first, female national news anchor. And so I obviously didn't see it from that perspective when I was going through school. And I don't necessarily know that a lot of my fellow students, I'm talking women, men and women, I don't know that people were looking at Barbara Walters as being that. Now, maybe if they had already been in television news at the time, different story, right? We were aspiring journalists, so we weren't quite there yet. So I don't recall anybody actually ever saying like, oh, I idolize Barbara Walters, because when we were going through college, we kind of were wanting to be our own, right? We wanted to be our own breakout sort of journalist. And but I just remember watching those clips. I don't remember exactly the things that she was saying in them, but I just remember her being an example to us. And it was just incredible to watch, because you're like, wait a second, here she is with, whoever, Fidel Castro, Vladimir Putin, or, whoever. And these are guys that could probably just have her killed, right? That's kind of the people that are, do I have to say allegedly, or the lawyer is going to be on me? If I don't say allegedly, Putin could allegedly have her killed, because that's what he does. But you just look at this tiny little woman. She, I'm guessing, was about the height of my grandmother, right? It's much smaller than me. I'm 5'11". And you've got these world leaders who are known for like killing people and destruction and torment and whatever. And here's this little granny coming in, and like kicking their ass in the interview. I mean, it was just fascinating to see. It was great fun to watch. And like I said, I mean, when she was doing those interviews, I don't even know that I was in school yet. I was probably still even a teenager, right? Because she was hosting 2020 back when I was a kid, and then The View started when I was was I in high school, I guess. And then right through college, yeah, she was on The View, and then obviously just not just recently left, but several years ago left. So, yeah, certainly, I mean, I don't have quite as many stories because I didn't know her personally. I'd never interviewed her, but I have interviewed many of the people with whom she worked. And so, The View and I have a close bond over the years because as a syndicated radio host for 15 years when I was doing the Top 40 music show, I had a bunch of the different co-hosts on the show, and Barbara has come up. We've actually had the time tonight to pull some of those clips where I talk with Meredith Vieira about kissing Barbara, and Joy Behar chimes in also on the kissing, and Barbara's drinking. So I'm going to be playing those clips for you, in addition to the celebrity tweets that, again, are coming fast and furious tonight as we are live here on the Scribble. We'll get to those in a moment, right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on this special live edition of The Scribble. And, as I'm talking to you right now, the celebrity tweets and Instagram posts are still coming in. I mean, celebs are reacting far and wide, right? Whether somebody was interviewed by Barbara or worked with her or even just used her as a mentor, right? Somebody who was motivating them, primarily women, and we're hearing a lot of that, especially from people like Oprah Winfrey and well, I would say almost any national news anchor who is a woman has some sort of connection or story about Barbara's influence, right, and what she meant and how she empowered them. So notably, Oprah Winfrey has chimed in, "Without Barbara Walters, there wouldn't have been me nor any other woman you see on evening, morning, and daily news. She was indeed a trailblazer. I did my very first television audition with her in mind the whole time. Grateful that she was such a powerful and gracious role model. Grateful to have known her. Grateful to have followed in her light." And then you, like I said, the news world, right? Fellow journalists are chiming in. Dan Rather, "The world of journalism has lost a pillar of professionalism, courage, and integrity. Barbara Walters was a trailblazer and a true pro. She outworked, outthought, and outhustled her competitors. She left the world better for it. She will be deeply missed." And something, earlier in the evening when I was on doing our entertainment wrap-up segments with local radio stations, trailblazer, that was the word that I'm just looking, they've got the screen of tweets here scrolling, and I see trailblazer in almost every one of them. So let's continue. David Muir, who obviously is the ABC News anchor, "So often we toss around the words icon, legend, trailblazer, but Barbara Walters was all of these, and perhaps above all else, Barbara Walters was brave. She paved the way for so many. We learned from her and remain in awe of her to this day. R.I.P. Barbara." Elizabeth Vargas, who used to be at ABC, she's moved on now, "Truly saddened to hear of the passing of Barbara Walters tonight. She shattered glass ceilings and blazed a trail for so many women in television news who would follow her like me. I will never forget her." GMA anchor Robin Roberts said, "Barbara Walters was a true trailblazer, forever grateful for her stellar example and for her friendship, sending condolences to her daughter and family." Tamron Hall, talk show host, says, "The legend, the blueprint, the greatest. Rest in peace, Barbara Walters." Kara Swisher, "Tough lady in a time where you had to be one, and one of the all-time great interviewers, legend." Geraldo Rivera, "The greatest reporter, host, interviewer ever, kind and considerate to this brash upstart. Describing her will take books. Determined, connected, courageous, tough, compassionate. She'll be on the Mount Rushmore of journalists." And then, The View over the years has had so many different co-hosts, 20-something of them, and a lot of people were wondering, like myself, what are they going to say, right? Because sometimes we heard that she had a good relationship with them, sometimes not so great. Jenny McCarthy was one who notably did not have a great relationship with Barbara Walters, though she did chime in on, I think it was Instagram, right? I've got it. I've just got all of the... I've got all the information. I don't see which platform it was, so forgive me if I misquote the platform. But I've got Jenny McCarthy's words here. But let's start, though, with Star Jones. "I owe Barbara Walters more than I could ever repay. Rest well, sister, mother, friend, colleague, mentor." Debbie Matenopoulos, one of the original, she was on the first season, one of the original co-hosts. So sad. No words right now. You single-handedly changed my life and the life of every other female journalist by leading the way for us all. May you rest in peace and in power and beauty, you amazing woman. Now, Debbie was so young on the show when The View started. She had no experience in news. She was just hosting, I believe she was on MTV, from what I understand, and all of a sudden was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to audition for The View. And it's this historic story now. In the video they actually just showed on The View for their 25th season of the women, and this was Meredith Vieira, Joy Behar, Star Jones, Debbie, and Barbara. just sitting in a hotel room auditioning, and they were the first group to sit down and audition for the show, and that ended up being the original cast. Meghan McCain, the infamous host, Meghan, says Barbara Walters will always be known as a trailblazer. Her hard-hitting questions and welcoming demeanor made her a household name and leader in American journalism. Her creation of The View is something I will always be appreciative of. Rest in peace. You will forever be an icon. And so Jenny McCarthy, my dear Barbara, thank you for your love, guidance, support, nurturing, and for making a seat for me at the table. Your impact on the world is immeasurable. Your impact on me will never be forgotten. You will forever be an icon in every sense of the word and a most beloved friend to me. Love you always, Jenny. Rest peacefully. Now, Jenny had a tumultuous time on the show. She, and there was that tell-all book, the behind-the-scenes bickering. And Jenny shared her stories about run-ins with Barbara, who, Jenny was dressing quite provocatively on the show, and Barbara was almost wanting to borrow her outfit sometimes as well. And then there was the time where there was a feminine hygiene product in the bathroom that Barbara apparently had stormed in and wanted somebody to take care of it, and so Jenny had to be dispatched to go and do that. So that's a story that Jenny says, and now isn't really, this is a time when you reflect, right? You pay tribute, you remember the good times, you don't start thrashing them for being the person they are, but I mean, those are the stories that, up until Barbara's death are kind of how Jenny remembered and thought of her. So it's great to see that she's got those kind words for her. Rosie O'Donnell posted a picture of the two of them, and it just said legend. Seriously, as I'm talking to you, there's just more and more posts that are coming up. Monica Lewinsky, that was a huge interview that after the Bill Clinton scandal, all the news outlets were clamoring who's going to get, Monica. And of course, it was Walters who did that. That was in 1999. And I remember many years ago, Monica opening up and saying she was really nervous. She trusted in Barbara, and the two of them became friends out of all of this. Barbara old enough, to be Monica's grandmother in most worlds, and 20 some years later, they were apparently still in touch and good friends. So Monica posted, I knew Barbara for over half of my life. We met in the spring of 1998 in the midst of the Starr investigation. That was, of course, during the Bill Clinton scandal. I was 24. I remarked that this was the first time I'd ever been in serious trouble. I'd basically been a good kid, got good grades, didn't do drugs, never shoplifted, but she could go down on a president like nobody's business, apparently. And so she then said we stayed in touch over the past 25 years. The last time we saw each other was for lunch a few years ago. Of course, she was charming, witty, and some of her questions were still her signature interview style. She was the very person with whom I ever sat. She was the very first person, with whom I ever sat for a television interview, and will certainly be my most memorable. Barbara will be missed by many, including me. Sending love to Jackie, George, and her other friends. Viola Davis chimes in, what can I say about the life and the legend and icon Barbara Walters? I watched you my entire life. Give the most bold, honest, informative, brave interviews. You redefined what it meant to be a news person. You redefined womanhood. It was an honor to have shared space with you. Rest well, Queen. You have earned your crown. Again, there's just so many. Billie Jean King, a true trailblazer. She was the first woman anchor on the evening news, and I was privileged to know her. When she interviewed me, it was clear she did her homework. She was always prepared. May she rest in power. Mark Hamill, called her one of the best ever. Yvette Nicole Brown was honored to sit at the table with the Barbara Walters on The View a couple of times. I still pinch myself. I learned a lot from her. Marlee Matlin, remarkable, fearless, assured, and laser-focused in her interviews. She broke through every barrier, paving the way for every woman journalist who followed. Linda Carter. See, some of these, like I said earlier when I was hosting the Entertainment Wrap-Up and doing segments with local stations, we've already had these quotes. So that I feel like I'm repeating myself, which is kind of why I'm stopping, but you haven't heard this on the podcast, so I'm going to keep going here. Linda Carter. Barbara Walters was an American institution. As the first female national news anchor, she opened the door to endless possibilities for so many girls who wanted to work in TV, myself included. Her impact cannot be overstated. I will miss you, Barbara. Alyssa Milano writes, rest in peace, Barbara Walters. Thanks for helping me find my voice. Maria Shriver. Barbara Walters was a trailblazer. She was a mentor to me as well as a friend. So many women broke into the news business because she did her job well. She worked so hard and helped a lot of younger women such as myself. Thank you, Barbara, for everything. You paved the way for all of us. You truly did. Jerry O'Connell, now a talk show host, up for anything, came to every play I was in, even the bad ones. Total trailblazer. Love you, Miss Walters. Hugh Jackman says, Deb and I are so sad that Barbara Walters passed away. She was a trailblazer, wickedly funny, generous, open-hearted, and a good friend. She also gave some of the most memorable dinner parties we've ever been to. Get ready, heaven, Barbara's coming to spice things up. Now, let me just go on about those dinner parties, because those are also famous or infamous because they were very, very, I would say, well-educated people. And from what I heard, I believe it was Lisa Ling was saying earlier tonight that Barbara would have everybody sit around the table and it would almost be like a world events discussion, like current events. And she wanted to know everybody's opinion and thoughts about a world issue or something in the news or something that was happening, and really, really cared and really, really wanted to know. Going back to, Lisa was on CNN earlier tonight just saying, when I first got onto The View with Barbara, we went for lunch and she just has this look that she's just looking at you and you feel like you can open up just based on it being Barbara Walters. And I believe Lisa said that she was in tears at that first lunch. Not for anything bad, I don't recall. I think it was more just that moment of incredibility, if that's even a word, that Lisa had when she was co-hosting on The View. I think she was on for 3 seasons. I'm not quite sure. I don't recall. But anyway, I mean, just earlier I mentioned, well, all of the people I just quoted were saying, pioneer, trailblazer, legend, icon, 12 Emmys, 12 Emmy Awards, known for hosting, 2020, right? Every ABC News program, the specials, the Oscar things, right? So certainly a connection to the Hollywood world. And that's me as an entertainment reporter, something that I was watching for as soon as this story broke, now I guess about 4 hours ago. And you just know, and the world leader, I'm expecting, maybe they have already, I don't have it on my screen, but things are popping up as I'm talking to you, so maybe we've had former presidents chime in, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if Obama, and certainly Biden, although I guess, Barbara's been out of the spotlight, but I'm sure at some point she interviewed Biden as, maybe vice president or what have you, so we'll be watching for those tweets as well. I don't know if they come to me while we're in this 30-minute show, I will bring them to you. And, Bob Iger, the CEO of the Walt Disney Corporation, I kind of had to sort of laugh because earlier on the actual ABC News website, when they reported on her death, they had called him Bog, B-O-G, Iger, and I kind of had to tweet them because I'm a dick like that. And so that's the one thing, and he's a millionaire, perhaps he's a billionaire, I'm not quite sure, and he's the boss of your company, and it's a simple name, Bob. You kind of want to get his name right. And it's funny because when I tweeted it, about 5 minutes later, it was corrected on the site. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not giving myself the credit for it, but, I did point it out with a screenshot to them. So, certainly lots of people at the Disney Corporation who worked with her throughout the years. Bob says that Barbara was a true legend, a pioneer not just for women in journalism, but for journalism itself. She was a one-of-a-kind reporter who landed many of the most important interviews of our time. From heads of state to the biggest celebrities and sports icons. I had the pleasure of calling Barbara a colleague for more than 3 decades, but more importantly, I was able to call her a dear friend. She will be missed by all of us at the Walt Disney Company, and we send our deepest condolences to her daughter Jacqueline, or Jackie as she was known. Shifting gears then, going back to The View, and for those people who called her friends for decades, or called her a friend for decades, Meredith Vieira and Joy Behar have been on the radio with me many times over the years, and just a few months ago, I had Meredith on, and we were talking about the lesbian kissing that was always happening during that first few seasons of the show, and Joy also chimed in as well. So here's, I had to have Meredith set the record straight. Take a listen. Who was the better kisser, Barbara Walters or Joy Behar? Keep it real here, Meredith. Come on, you're MVP, right? You got to be honest.
Well, I'm going to be. Barbara held back a little bit. She held back, but I don't think she was committed to it. She wasn't sure. Joy doesn't hold back on anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to say, Joy was a little sloppier, but that's okay.
You got me drinking my water here. It's these live shows that I have to grab water where I can because I was basically just talking for 13 minutes straight without a break. And anyway, speaking of Joy Behar, she's been on the radio with me many times, and most notably, when The View was celebrating its 3,000th episode, Joy was a surprise guest on the radio with me. We did a prize giveaway, and I had to get the inside scoop also about the, she calls it lesbian kissing. Have a listen. And it's crazy, too. I guess all of the kissing that goes on. We saw little montages of that, too, yesterday.
Oh, the lesbian montage?
That was great.
Yeah, we like to do that. Well, we're girls, you know. Girls always like to kiss each other and hold hands and run down the street. You know, when girls do it, no one cares. When boys do it, they have a fit. Yeah.
It's ratings gold when it's the women.
Yeah, that's true.
So was there a party after the show yesterday? Any dirt on that? Did Rosie crash it? Any punches thrown? Did Barbara get tipsy and out of hand?
Oh, you mean like she usually does? No. I wasn't really there.
You know, that's something that we're going to hear for the next, few days, certainly this entire weekend, that she had a sense of humor. She was go with the flow. I think it was Jerry O'Connell's tweet, right, that just said that she was up for anything. She was a good sport. And, and I look at the calendar now, right, and we're heading into New Year's Eve day, and we're exactly a year now then that Betty White passed away, right, just shy of 100 years old, Barbara, of course, being 93. And both of them are people, and we also had the Queen that we lost earlier in the year, right? These are people who we all know that everybody's going to die at some point, right? I mean, obviously we know that. But there are people like those three that I just mentioned. And I could say that there's other people like perhaps Dolly Parton, like that we just can't imagine them dying. We don't want them to, of course. But certainly when the news comes out, you're shocked and you're stunned by it. But then you're kind of like, well, Betty was almost 100, right? But she still had that energy, that zest for life, that, working through her 90s still, right? Not wanting to slow down. And, this is the time of the year, though, when we reflect on all of those that passed. I think, the entertainment magazine shows and the actual magazines and gossip websites sort of do a look back. I think I saw something earlier on TooFab or Us Weekly or whatever it was, kind of looking back. And this is one of those things where they generally, from what I understand, because I'm in the business, compiled those lists maybe about 2 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have that, oh shit, we've got to now put Barbara Walters in there too. Because you're not expecting it, right? Now, we had heard that she was in poor health, right? She'd largely been a recluse in recent years. And that, again, could just be because her whole life was in the spotlight, right? Or she's just exhausted. She's just tired. I know from being I was only on the radio for 15 years hosting a weekly show and doing celebrity guests and traveling everywhere and red carpets and after 15 years, I was exhausted and wanting to. It's almost a year and a half later. I'm still hiding in my house, wanting to do nothing. So, and here I am talking to you live on a Friday night. I was supposed to be off this week, and I jokingly said to our producer Suzanne, I said, "Look, there's always something between Christmas and New Year's. I do not get that full break off from entertainment reporting because somebody dies, and I've got to jump in and start doing this." And that was the shock of Betty White because. With Betty, we didn't know of any health conditions, right? We heard that she was healthy. She was just laying low at home. And I think during Corona, there was kind of like that internet gossip that she was sick or that she died or whatever. And she was alive. She was good. And but somebody like Barbara, we'd heard that in recent years she kind of pulled away. And one of her friends was on CNN earlier talking about how they did lunch about 5 years ago. And Barbara just seemed lost, just seemed depressed. That that was her life, that was her world all those years, was being on TV, being a reporter, hosting, anchoring, interviewing. And once she was retired, it was just a depression. She was in a funk is kind of how it was described. So I can totally understand her being like that and just, wanting to get back to work. And there was that book, the tell-all book about The View, right? I can't think of the name now. Ramon Satuda was the author of it anyway. And when Barbara was sort of pushed out of The View back in the day, she was wanting like any excuse to come back and be on the show again. And the new people that had, it was sort of taken over then by ABC News. It wasn't part of ABC Entertainment anymore at that point, or ABC Daytime, I guess. They were almost having to have kick her out. It's like, Barbara, you're not part of the show anymore. You have to go, get out. And you can understand though, but that's just Ladies Who Punch. Thank you so much, Tim, for telling me that about I knew that it was something like that. I thought it was Ladies Who Lunch, but then I was like, no, it was a play on the words. Ladies Who Punch. Thank you so much. A great book, by the way. And that's where I was quoting people like Jenny McCarthy and others who shared those stories. So we're going to take one more break before we wrap things up here on a special edition of the Scribble Live on this December 30th, Friday night here. remembering Barbara Walters.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's it for me, Jeremy Bradley, here on The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout anytime if you have a Barbara Walters memory, just from watching her on TV, or if you met her, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, and all of our celebrity interview guests are at speakfreecelebwatch.com. So those clips, you can hear the full interview with Meredith and Joy at speakfreecelebwatch.com. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye
Want
for now.
more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some